I get a lot of people asking me how we were blessed to walk away from corporate America in our early 30s. Well, listen, I don't want to keep that a secret. I want to share it with the world. And so maybe you're listening to this podcast and you're trying to figure out, how do I even get started on my journey of entrepreneurship and getting to a level of freedom? Well, text the word freedom to 737 777 9909. Enter your information in, and we look forward to sharing some information with you. A proven system with small overhead, right? That you can do part-time, spare time, right from the comfort of your home, and have amazing mentors, coaches, and a community of entrepreneurs who are willing to support you and help you on your journey to freedom. Welcome to Code Freedom. I'm your host, Eddie Bales. Have you ever felt stuck? Have you ever felt like there's got to be more than life than the reality that you see every day? Tune in weekly, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays as we crack the codes to freedom in every area of your life. Welcome to Code Freedom. This is your host, Eddie Bales, and this is episode 178. And today is an exciting episode. As always, we're dropping jewels and gems on how you can become free in every sense of the word. Although freedom isn't free, the goal is to be free, right? And I'm just going to read a quick quote to you by Claude Bristol from a great book that I read called The Magic of Believing. And he said, the successful people in history have succeeded through their thinking. Their hands were merely helpers to their brains. I'm going to read that again. The successful people in history have succeeded through their thinking. Their hands were merely helpers to their brains. And so the whole thing is, it all starts in our mind. It all starts with thinking. I mentioned this before, but everything that is around us, the chair that you sit in, the bed that you sleep in, the shoes that you wear, they were all thoughts first, and then those thoughts became things. Now, it's back to the thing that I talked about before about faith and works. It's really said a whole nother way, because it's almost like the faith is the thoughts and the works is the action, it's the hands. So we got to think it, but then we got to produce it. We got to take action on it. And having one without the other is not going to work. But the thing that I noticed just from working with lots of people all across the country for many, many years now is that it's the thoughts, it's the attitude, it's the thinking, it's the thinking that a lot of people have that gets in their way. People sometimes quit before they ever even get started because mental block is happening in their brain, in their mind. And most of the time, to be honest with you, it's not even their fault. It's fear that is gripping them from childhood that causes them not to move forward, not to take those steps forward. It's it's things that we don't even realize. Like we saw, dad struggle, we saw mom struggle, so we don't want to struggle. So subliminally in the back of our mind, we think we're gonna, if we do this, and this, we'll go down the same path as our parents, or just so many different little thing that we struggle with, but it's always in the mind. You know, 10% skill set is what's required to be successful. The whole other 90% is all mindset. Because when you defeat the enemies on the inside, the enemies on the outside can do you no harm. See, when the thoughts are right, you'll take the necessary action because you got the thought game right. And so you believe. We talked about belief several times on this episode, but it starts with the thinking. It starts with what's happening in between your ears on an everyday basis. Are you talking yourself out of blessings or talking yourself into blessings? Right? Are you talking yourself out of taking action, or are you talking yourself into, hey, I gotta go do it. I'll figure it out along the way, right? So it starts with the thoughts, and of course we want to have the right philosophies that drive those thoughts. But once those thoughts are formulated, as a child, by the time you're 5 or 6 years old, you've been told no so many times that you start to accept no, and over time you embrace no. You just kind of like almost are at a plateau or at a standstill. But remember when you were a young baby, and you probably don't remember, but you just kept going. Like, can I, mommy, daddy, and you did not stop until you got what you wanted. And then again, maybe you were told no, and then again, eventually, um, that that being told no so many times, it affected you. And so now we don't even want to take action on things because we're afraid of that word no. And by the way, no isn't even my topic today. It's really about your thinking and your thoughts. But it all goes hand in hand. So we want to elevate our thinking in a couple ways. This is a surefire way always is to get around the right other people who think the right way, because associations are everything. But I would also just say you got to be pouring into yourself on a regular basis. I love to look at documentaries. I love to read auto books. I'm sorry, autobiographies is what I'm trying to say. I love to see how people think, how people go from here to there, right? Like I just love, I'm fascinated by that because it just proves that anybody can do it, and if we get the right thought process, right? Like I was looking at the Kanye documentary, and I'm amazed that the confidence he had. Well, his mother instilled this confidence that was so bold in him. Now, sometimes, let's just be honest, it gets him in trouble. However, that confidence has led him to be a billionaire as well, right? And so he believed when nobody believed, and I could just go on and on with so many different people, that have succeeded. I was watching another documentary, um, Viola Davis with Oprah Winfrey, and that was a fascinating documentary. And she got a new book coming out. Well, actually, it's out now. But she talks about her struggles as a child, and it's just so awesome to see how people have overcame. We see the end story, but we don't know the backstory. We don't know what they went through that drove them to get to be. It's not where they are; it's who they are. Right? It's not where they are in life. It's who they are in life. Like, how did you become this person versus the person you used to be? And it's because of circumstances, because of challenges, it's because of things that have happened in their lives that have caused them to be who they are now. And now they obviously can command, uh, tons and tons of success because of who they become. And guess what? We all can become. Jim Rohn, one of my favorite philosophers, he says it's not what you get, it's who you become. See, he says set a goal to be a millionaire, not because of the millions, although the millions are nice, right? But because of who you will become in the process of gaining that million. See, you don't make millions without serving a lot of people, right? Somebody else said the key to life is to help everybody else, not help people get what they want, and you get what you want. Right? If you help enough other people get what they want, you'll get everything you want. You've heard that said before. So it's simply about serving the masses, serving people in whatever capacity that you're able to do it in. But the only way we can have that even thought as a mindset is if we start to develop that mindset. If we start to develop it in the beginning, when we start to think on a scale of, look, life is not just about me, but how can I be the one who serves everyone versus the one who, now don't get me wrong, you don't have to serve everyone, but you get what I'm saying. You pick your niche on how you're going to serve people, but when you serve people and you solve their problems, I tell people that entrepreneurs are people who solve problems for a profit. What's the problem that somebody has, and how do you show up and become a solution for that? And people will pay for that solution because it takes away pain for them. It takes away pain and moves them closer to pleasure. And that's how human beings are moved, is to move away from pain and move closer to pleasure. And so maybe somebody's pain is, like, for instance, somebody's pain was walking barefoot, and someone invented shoes. Somebody's pain was I don't know. There's so many different things that I could name, but someone created a solution to those pains. And so you don't even have to be in the creation phase because I'm the last one to be talking about creating, right? But but again, you can still find creative ways to solve people's problems, right? Um, Even with what I do, I don't necessarily solve people's problem directly, but I get to help solve them indirectly through a service that we offer, through a service that we provide. So, and I don't deliver that service. I just give people access to that service. Does that make sense? So there's so many ways you can serve people, and you just got to get creative enough. But the thing about it is our thoughts. We have to be conscious of our thoughts. We have to pour into ourselves and constantly be listening and studying and reading, watching and just understanding, gaining wisdom so that we can think the thing that we need to think in order to guide ourselves to where we need to be and becoming who we need to become. That's the key, is becoming who we are supposed to become. See, the only reason why we aren't where we want to be right now is because we haven't become the person that is necessary for where you want to be. Right? Like let's just go back to the $1 million. Who you are today and the you who is going to command $1 million are two totally different people. And again, it's not even about the $1 million. Let's just not. I just threw that out there, right? It could be anything. It could be the parent that you want to be. It could be the husband or the wife that you want to be. It could be the CEO or the entrepreneur you want to be. The whatever I can go on and on and on, but whatever it is that you want, you have to figure out how to become that. And somebody wrote a book on it. Somebody has a podcast on it. Somebody has a YouTube channel on it. We have access to so much information, but it's just mind blowing to me how we're in the information age and there's access to so much information, yet most people are so uninformed, right? So again, I hope you take this episode to heart. The key to this is to really start to really dive into our thought life. And I can go even deeper on this because it's not just how you pour into yourself, but it's also what you allow in, right? Like garbage in, garbage out. It's it's the attitudes and the thoughts and the mindsets and the philosophies and the experiences that we had growing up. And sometimes we gotta unlearn and then relearn. Sometimes we just have to get around enough other people who think a certain way for us to start thinking that way, right? It's like children. Two children who play together, black and one is white, has no concept of racism, has no concept of any of that foolishness until it's taught to them. And then once it's taught to them now, growing up, they have a choice. They have to either unlearn and then relearn, as I just mentioned, or to accept what was poured into them as a child. And the thing is, some things were poured into us as a child, and they weren't right, right? But we just kept on going with it because it was all we knew, versus saying, "Hey, look, I'm going to actually exercise critical thinking. I'm going to not just do as everyone said I should do, but I'm going to say, hey, is that something like what kind of fruit does that produce if I do become that person? And maybe I should be this person instead." You get what I'm saying? So we can go so deep on this whole thought, but the whole point of this episode, back to the quote that I mentioned, is that the successful people in history have succeeded through their thinking. So how are we going to change our thinking so that we can succeed in the way that we want to succeed? And again, the quote continues: "Their hands were merely helpers to their brains." So let's give our hands something to do by thinking the right thoughts, and then let our hands to guide us to producing those thoughts. Listen, guys, I appreciate you for listening to episode 178. Can't wait to see you on the next episode. Take care, take charge, and we'll see you all over the top. Take care. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys for listening. Definitely feel free to take a screenshot of this episode, tag me in it on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you find me on social media. I would love to give you a shout out. Hey, you might even get a prize. Who knows? But excited that you had a chance to take a listen. I hope you got a lot of value. And definitely feel free to give us 5 stars as well as a review. Show us some love, and we appreciate you. God bless you all, and see you all over the top.